All right, Shalom. This is the brothers from GMS Louisiana Saints, the New Orleans camp, with another lesson. But before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. Shalom.
Shalom.
We're just going to get straight into it with this video. We're going to start it off with Matthew chapter 24, verse 12.
Matthew 24 and 12. It said, and because iniquity shall abound, the love.
And when you go into that word iniquity, it means a state of lawlessness.
Yes.
First and foremost, the lawlessness of people not following the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. But very soon, a state of lawlessness and anarchy out here of people not regarding their kings or princes or their governors or any other political figure or governmental official out here when things are really bad during Jacob's trouble, when there's the race wars, the civil wars, even more pestilences, famines, martial law, you name it. People are going to be out here in a very savage, animalistic mindset, caring about themselves and their own,
Yes.
willing to do anything to
Yes.
get by, only thinking about the next 5 to 10 seconds ahead of them, as it says in the next part.
It says, the love of many shall wax cold.
Again, it's about to be a very dog-eat-dog, desperate, brutal world out here. And in this video, we're just going to go into an article showing the progression, which is eventually going to lead to the love of many waxing cold, dealing with an increase in Americans stealing food and other things from these supermarkets due to the C-19 pandemic and them losing jobs and not being able to pay their bills and really desperate out here.
You mind if I make a point? And we know one thing. When it comes down to your stomach touching your back, the love will wax as cold as ever, man. Because people hold eating in the very high statue. So if you ain't going to be able to do that, man, what you expect the people to do?
And especially in America, Babylon the Great, eating's an aphrodisiac to these people out here. What do you got people constantly doing when they're bored? Due to the abundance of food, especially junk food, always munching on something, gaining weight, can't even go a day without not eating or drinking anything, not fasting. These people are just completely unprepared out here mentally and physically for when these food shortages and famines really hit. So again, that's going to lead to the love of many waxing cold.
Yeah.
And we're going to see through this article that things are still relatively good, because even though these people don't have the money to buy what they want, they can still go to the store and shoplift things to get by. But what do you think is going to happen when the trucks stop bringing food to these stores? These store shelves get even more empty. Any crops or any other type of goods and livestock these farmers had either got destroyed in these historic floods and storms over 2019 and 2020, or they are not able to bring goods to stores because the manufacturers that buy their goods and ship them to stores say, hey, we got nobody buying the stuff, so just destroy those crops. So it's all a perfect storm convalescing into just the horrific calamities that Jacob's trouble is going to bring.
That's right. This is an article in the Sharon. It says, stealing to survive. More Americans are shoplifting food as aid runs out during the pandemic.
God.
I'll go ahead and get into the article.
God. And hey, when people can't get these government benefits that they've been just barely surviving off of, when they can't get that anymore, it's only going to further exacerbate the problems and just, hey, again, the love of many is going to wax cold.
That's right.
When you're starving, when you see your children starving, your woman, your parents, your grandparents, etc., hey, people are going to be stepping to a whole different tune in that day. You're going to quickly see that love spirit, that love of everybody and my own truth spirit and all that get thrown out the window.
That's right. It says early in the pandemic, Joe Polk noticed a worrisome shift at the market he managed near downtown Washington. At least once a day, he spotted someone slipping a package of meat, a bag of rice, or other food into a shirt or under a jacket. Diapers, shampoo, and laundry detergent began disappearing in bigger numbers too. Since then, he said thieves have more than doubled at Capitol Supermarket. Even though he now stationed more employees at the entrance, asked shoppers to leave backpacks up front and display high thief items displays high theft items,
which
like
means items that people would be most prone to taking from these stores.
it says high theft items like hand sanitizer and baking yeast in more conspicuous areas. Park doesn't usually call the police, choosing instead to bar offenders from coming back.
But hey, it's gonna get to the point where hey, you're gonna need security to protect those goods, because as the food shortages increase and people get more desperate, they're gonna be taking measures into their own hands. I remember reading that over in Italy during that first lockdown, you had people getting together and putting together Facebook groups to say, hey, we're all going to meet at this one supermarket and just bum rush it and take whatever we want. And also there were reports that the mafia was planning on getting involved in it too. So hey, when it gets down to push comes to shove, it's not just going to be your average Joes out here doing it. You're going to have gang members, thugs, and other types of organized crime organizations getting involved in it as well.
Yeah, because this is just not going to hit the regular person. This is going to hit all
Everybody.
faction of people, man. You know?
Hey, even a D-boy has to eat and feed his loved ones.
That's right. It said it becomes much harder during the pandemic. He said people will say, I was just hungry. And then what do you do? The coronavirus recession has been a relentless churn of high unemployment and economic uncertainty. The government stimulus that kept millions of Americans from falling into poverty early in the pandemic is long gone, and new aid is still a dot on the horizon after months of congressional inaction.
Hey, that $600 people were getting was really the only thing that was getting them by, because you had a lot of people out here and say, hey, people don't want to go to work because they're getting $600 every week. But that's crazy when you think about all the costs of living with which people are going through nowadays, with inflation constantly increasing prices. People got to worry about the car note. People got to worry about paying rent, paying mortgages. They got children, so that involves diapers and food and feeding them. They got to feed themselves. They may have other family members that are having it worse than them that they got to send money to, etc., etc. So that $600 was really a lifeline for people, but now that's gone. And like I said earlier, when these other government benefits are gone and it's hitting for that, and it's hitting at that level, hey, then you're gonna see the heat increase in the kitchen.
Yes, sir. It says hunger is chronic at levels not seen in decades. The result is a growing subset of Americans who are stealing food to survive. Keep reading. It says shoplifting is up markedly since the pandemic began in the spring, and at higher levels than in past economic downturns.
Hey, because we're living in the last seconds of these last days before Jacob's trouble, before the Great Reset, before the New World Order gets ushered in. A lot of these things from this whole pandemic is being manufactured by the elites to get you people desperate, so you'd be more willing to take the Crown Royal shot, the chip, and accept this New World Order.
Yeah.
So don't expect any relief to come. Right. It's only going to get worse from here on out.
That's right. It says, according to interviews with more than a dozen retailers, securities experts, and police departments across the country. But what's distinctive about this trend, experts say, is what's being taken. More staple like bread, pasta, and baby formula.
What they're saying is, what's interesting about this particular time with an increase in stealing and shoplifting is that it's people taking essential goods to survive. Food and baby formulas and stuff like that. They're not taking TVs or PlayStations or Xboxes or bullshit.
Right.
It's stuff that they need to get by to physically survive.
Mm-hmm. It says we're seeing an increase in low impact crimes, said Jeff Zinner, chief executive of workplace security firm Angus, it's not a whole lot of people going in grabbing TVs and running out the front door. It's a very different kind of crime. It's people stealing consumables and items associated with children and babies. With America being advised to brace for a difficult winter amid skyrocketing coronavirus infection rates.
C-19.
C-19 infection rates and the economic recovery nearly stalled. The near-term outlook is grim. More than 20 million Americans are on some form of unemployment assistance, and 12 million will run out of benefits the day after Christmas unless new relief materializes. Though lawmakers have made progress this week on a $908 billion bill, details are still being worked out, congressional aid says. Meanwhile, an estimate 54 million Americans will struggle with hunger this year, a 45% increase from 2019, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, with food aid programs like SNAP and WIC being reduced and other federal assistance on the brink of expiration. Food banks and pantries are being inundated, reporting hours-long waits and lines that stretch into the thousands. Several federal food programs that have provided billions of dollars in fresh produce, dairy, and meat to the U.S. food banks also are set to expire at the end of the year. The largest among them, the Farmers to Families food box, has provided more than 120 million food boxes during the pandemic and is already running out of funding in many parts of the country.
Hey, everything's getting into the red.
Yes, indeed.
These SNAP and Food WIC programs are getting reduced. These food banks are getting inundated, which means they're getting overwhelmed. And you can easily go and look up footage just put in food banks in like different places in the country, and you'll see like it just said, hours-long lines. And in a lot of cases, they'll be running out of food in the first hour or 2 hours, so wiped out there.
I just want to add, I work at a fresh produce place, and it be empty as hell in there, man. It used to be stocked up. It used to be stocked up everywhere, but now that is basically damn near empty, man. You know.
Hey, you're hearing it from somebody who's in that particular field, and it's only going to get worse as we get closer and closer to all hell breaking loose.
Okay. It says, with the United States now registering more than 150,000 new cases a day, some communities are reintroducing restrictions in an effort to contain the virus. Most of California is now under strict stay-at-home order, for example, while states including Nevada, Maryland, and Pennsylvania have issued new indoor occupancies.
Yeah, occupancy
limits. Such orders tend to hit already vulnerable workers in low-wage service job and restaurant, retail, and bar the hardest.
And in a place down here like New Orleans, this is a real service industry based place where people get a lot of their money from tourism, working at restaurants, places like that. So it's especially going to get hit hard down here. And already you got a bunch of alcoholics and drug addicts down here. So hey, when the hammer really drops on this place, you're going to see a lot of desperation, and it's going to be all across the country.
That's right. It says in Maryland, Jean was successfully juggling college and a job.
And this is going to be the story a lot of you women out here, especially a lot of you so-called black women.
That's right. Hey, we got an interesting video that the brother put in his WhatsApp about a woman, man, the vintage has failed.
And it's only going to fail even harder.
That's right. It says, and had just brought her first car. She was living the high life.
I don't need no man.
Yeah.
I'm a strong independent.
Talking about feminist to the highest level. Got a job, got to go to college. I just bought my new car. It says, when the pandemic crushed down like a sneaker wave, It says her son's daycare center suddenly closed in April, forcing her to give up her 15-hour job as a receptionist, Salakia. It says, but quitting meant she didn't qualify for unemployment benefits. She says she was denied food stamps at least 3 times and gave up on local food banks because of the lines. It says, with no stimulus aid and her savings gone by May, Jean said she was out of options. She began sneaking food into her son's stroller at the local Walmart. She said she'd take things like ground meat, rice, or potatoes, but always pay for something small like a pack of M&Ms each time. She'll tell herself that God would understand.
Hey, well, God will understand when he's dropping that judgment on you.
That's right.
And hey, it's going to get much worse for you people out here because as it increases and more people starting to shoplift, it's going to be like Black Friday out here. People are going to see you taking something.
That's
you
right.
might have taken the last of it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Be grabbing, hitting, snapping and cracking and popping. Hey, it's about to get real nasty out here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all haven't seen nothing like y'all gonna see when it comes down to the anger when it's about food, man. Like, people have a different type of mentality when their stomach is hungry, man. You know, and especially they're wicked. All these wicked ass people running around here with demons and legions on them, just looking for somebody to probably, hey, they're going in with the mentality. They premeditating destruction on somebody. If somebody get in my way, I'm gonna do this, that, and this, and I'm gonna make sure I get what I gotta get for my family. You know?
Hey, and another thing, the first lockdown that happened, there are a lot of good examples learned to give you an idea on how much worse it's going to be when the real show starts. Because there are videos out there of people getting stabbed over the last case of 12-pack of water.
So, there it is. So that, It says in Philadelphia, reports of retail thieves jumped about 60% year over year. Just after President Donald Trump declared a national emergency in March because of the pandemic, they remained at elevated levels through at least July, according to local police data. Though shoplifting tends to spike during national crisis, it jumped 16% after September 11, 2001. Attacks and 34% after the 2008 recession, according to the National Association for Shoplifting Prevention, which tracks data from U.S. courts. The current trend line is skewing even higher.
The current trend during this whole situation we're in right now is skewing higher than the previous times when people would go into shoplifting and other crimes.
It says, according to Reed Hayes, a criminologist at the University of Florida and a director of the Loss Prevention Research Council, Hayes has been tracking thefts since the C-19 began sweeping across the United States in March, and his phone calls with the leaders of 60 major retail chains every other week to help them prevent losses. Most reports of retail theft have been anecdotal, he said, and even 10 months into the pandemic, it's too early to know the full scope. We believe there is some increase in people who, because of C-19, are not able to pay for the items, Hayes says. It's sort of maintained that there may be a slight uptick in need-based stuff, but it's really difficult to tease that out. In Virginia, Salone 28 says she has been dropping avocados, mushrooms, and other fresh produce into her bag without paying for them since September.
Not sneakers, not video games, not a pair of pants, not any type of electronics, anything like that. The staples to get by to survive, food.
It says She worried constantly about getting caught and take only a couple of items at a time. But when you're eating cheap meals every day, sometimes it's nice to have an avocado to spice things up for one night, she said.
And hey, it's going to get to the point where people are not going to give a shit about getting caught or worried about getting caught. It's going to be that desperate out here.
Walking out handful.
The love of many waxing cold. People, imagine people going in there with them guns.
Yeah.
Guns, knives, machetes, anything.
And hey, let's just be honest. It ain't gonna be just one person walking up in there with a gun. So it's gonna be shootouts in there, man.
Gangs going in there.
That's right. It says Sloan, who asked to be identified by only her first name to avoid potential prosecution, worked in the food industry until the pandemic upended her job. Her partner, who worked in retail, was furloughed for months. Furloughed?
Yeah.
Right here.
Just read down to this paragraph.
All right. Was furloughed for months, then quit in August because it no longer felt safe going back to work. But the resignation meant no unemployment benefits. It said things are bad. We are late on bills. We are late on rent. Our car is 9 days away from being repossessed. She said, I'm used to being very self-sufficient, and it's an awful feeling to suddenly be so desperate.
And doesn't that sound like the story for a lot of you people out there? Can't pay the car note, go and skimp on rent, can't find food, etc., etc. You're so used to being self-sufficient that now that you gotta depend on things, hey, you're getting perfectly primed up to take the Crown Royal shot, and eventually the Mart, so things can supposedly go back to normal. Hey, it's all a perfect storm corralling you people towards that great reset.
Absolutely. Got a brother right, man. We're coming into some very, very difficult times, man. And then people, their lives were set on this independent way. Oh, I got to get it by any means. I can do it all by myself. Now look at you, man. You out here high and dry with nobody giving a fuck about your feelings, man. It's over now.
The love of many waxing cold.
It says Alex graduated with a master's degree in May and was immediately in a bin. No job, no money, and with much of the country still shut down, little hope that anything would change. She spent most of her $1,200 stimulus check on rent and used what little she had left to buy groceries. Everything else, vitamins, moisturizers, body wash, she said, she shoplifted from a Whole Foods market a few miles from her apartment in Chicago. It was like I could spend $10 and get a couple of vegetables, or I could spend $10 on just a box of tampons, said Alex, 27, who asked to be identified by her middle name to speak candidly. She has a job now earning $12 an hour, but still struggles to make ends meet.
People with jobs are still struggling.
She says she continues to shoplift. Damn. Sometimes she'd never done before something she'd never done before the pandemic. Every few weeks. She says she moved through the store mostly unnoticed. Usually, she says she picks up a few bulky vegetables, a bunch of kale, maybe, or a few avocado.
And this chick sounds like a Becky, a Sheetamite. That's why she's able to maneuver through places like Whole Foods and get things.
Yes.
What do you think gonna happen with you Jakes trying to do that? Everybody's already got that Scopeo on you. So it's gonna be much harder for you to get down.
It says to distinguish the price of items, she slipped into her bag at the self-checkout. I don't feel much guilty about it, she said. It's been very frustrating to be a part of a class of people who is losing so much right now.
Hey, that middle class shrinking and disappearing. Hey, a lot of you Edomites out here about to feel what it's like to be a nigger, a spick, and a tonto, and you don't like it.
That's right. It says, and then to have another class who is profiting from the pandemic. Well, let's just say I don't feel too bad about taking $15 or $20 of stuff from Whole Foods when Jeff Bezos is the richest man on earth. Bezos is the founder and chief executive of Amazon, which owns Whole Foods. He also owns the Washington Post.
He doesn't give a damn about you, just like Bill Gates doesn't give a damn about you.
No.
These other elites, they like seeing you suffer.
Anthony Fauci, they don't give a fuck about you.
They like seeing you suffer and getting desperate because that's all a part of the plan. That's all a part of the Great Reset.
That's right. It said Whole Foods did not respond to requests for comments.
Because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they're like, whatever. It says, Jean, the single mother from Maryland, says she has shoplifted a few times before the pandemic. Driving to a Walmart one state over for cans of formula when she couldn't produce enough breast milk for her infant son. She stopped once the store began to lock up baby formula, which many retailers did because of its high price. The spokesman for Walmart declined to comment for this report. It says, but the C-19 crisis, she said, ushered in a new level of desperation. Finding a job and childcare became increasingly difficult. When money became tight, she prioritized rent and car payments over groceries. My car, my apartment were things that could be taken from me. And then where would that leave me and my son, she said.
Hey, that vintage failing.
This is going to sound bad, but
listen to this point real quick. Listen, this is going to be the story of the life of a lot of you women out here, especially a lot of you Eves.
It says this is going to sound bad, but at least I can try to get food in other ways.
What do you think that other way is? Through that box.
That ice cream.
They're slinging that ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, it's going to get to the point to where they're not going to be wanting that. They're just going to be wanting whatever you have.
Yeah, because that's going to be a given. Oh, this is all I have. Like many women is going to be slinging that twat for goods, man.
And a lot of it's not even going to be any negotiating. It's just going to be taking.
No, yeah, right. Dude going to be like, man, look, I'm not worried about that shit.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that shit.
That's the times we're coming into.
Yeah.
You people out there prepared for it? No. Because you don't have the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai dealing with you. Because iniquity or lawlessness shall abound.
It shall abound. It says her mother sometimes helped sending a few $100s or using her own food stamps to pay for chicken and frozen peas. It said that tided her over until July when she got a big break, a full-time job in a new state making $16 an hour. Jean has health insurance now and donates to the local food pantry. She hopes she'll never have to steal again, though she said her sense of security is fleeting.
Hey, that vintage failing.
I know what it's like to do anything you can and still not make it, she said. And
no, you don't. Not what's coming.
And I know it can happen again.
Hey, and it's going to happen again.
That's
and
right.
This time, it's going to be worse than anything imaginable. And we're just going to go through these last few scriptures just to go to show you what it's hitting for out here.
That's right.
Hey, it's definitely up there, and it's going to be stuck there till them chariots return to save the elect.
That's right. This is 2nd Esdras 6:22. It said, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty.
The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Your Walmarts, your Rouses, your Krogers, Targets, any of these other, your Rite Aids, your Walgreens, any of these other type of supermarkets. Suddenly, it's going to get to the point to where those shelves are going to stay empty,
right.
And people are going to be fighting for whatever they can get their hands on,
right.
And it's going to get bloody and nasty.
That's right. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies.
And why do you think they're going to do that? Because the full storehouses shall be found empty. And once their stomach's touching their back and they're seeing their children and their loved ones suffer, because what did they keep constantly talking about in that article? Things that were getting taken were food and products for babies, women stealing to feed their children, etc., etc. That love of many is going to wax cold when it comes between either me or you.
That's right.
And my loved ones or yours.
That's right. It says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run.
And to further put that pressure on you people, in that day, the powers that be are going to be turning off people's water and electricity. So you're not going to have water or be able to use the toilet or take a shower and not have electricity.
Right.
So how much more is that going to exacerbate the problem when you're hungry, you don't have lights, you don't have heat, air conditioning, running water, etc., etc.
Right.
People are going to be literal brute beasts out here.
My goodness. 2 Ezra 15 and 18. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled.
And all this is coming because of the pride of you people out here walking around living your wicked lives, living your best lives, living your do as thou wilt lives pridefully, boasting against the Most High, especially with you Jakes, boasting against his people and looking to Daddy E for help. As it says real quick in 2 Esdras 8 and 50, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride.
That's right.
Those miseries, those food shortages, the famines, the pestilences, race wars, civil wars, martial law, the mark, and ultimately those nuclear missiles.
Yeah, because you got to understand, this society is not built to last, man. There's nothing that makes this place sustainable, man. People eating all day, people running the streets all day, drinking all day, smoking, doing drugs all day.
Fucking all day, spreading STDs around.
Come on, man. So when you look at this place is built to fall.
Especially when you got a just-in-time delivery system to where a supermarket only has 3 days worth of food, and they get it just in time with those trucks delivering it there. So what do you think's going to happen when the trucks stop running and there's nothing left to bring to these stores?
Right. It says, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Here's the kicker in verse 19.
A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor.
The love of many shall wax cold. In that day shall friend fight against another like enemies. Hey, your good neighbor next to you or down the street that you had barbecues with, you went to his kid's birthday party, he came to your birthday party. In that day, he's going to come at you like a stranger.
Yeah, he going to take that mask off. You know, because right now, many of the people, they got this mask on right now. They showing you one side of them, man. But soon, real soon, that pity, that so-called love, all these different emotions they showed you that made you feel all good inside, it's going to get real hectic out here, man. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword.
And what's that modern day sword? That gun. And I'm sure you've seen over the past year an uptick of people buying guns, first-time buyers of guns, ammunition running out, people going to the gun range and training, etc., etc. They're getting ready for the get down.
Right.
And hey, when them bullets run out, people are going to be coming with anything else they can get their hands on. Bats, clubs,
machetes,
nicks, sticks, knives, machetes, chains wrapped around their fists, brass knuckles, Molotov cocktails, you name it.
So that same weed whacker you let John borrow, he gonna be at your house with that bitch cut on, ready to whack you, man. It says because of the lack, it said, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Because of the lack of bread.
Because of the lack of food. The full storehouses being found empty, them not having anything in their houses, these food banks no longer having food, these farmers no longer producing anything, etc., etc. They shall destroy their houses with the force of the sword and spoil their goods due to the lack of bread. And in that day, you're going to be lucky. You're going to pray that they just take your food, because people are going to be so diabolical in that day, they're going to be taking anything else, your toilet paper, and especially your loved ones, if you got a pretty wife, daughter, and even a son.
Yeah, because a lot of people are going to have that God complex in that day. just to have the power to take a life, man. And they're going to execute that power, man.
With great vengeance.
Yes.
And furious anger.
That's right. It says because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Hey, those great miseries, all these different calamities of Jacob's trouble that are about to hit. So to you sincere Akim out there, hey, just keep staying 10 toes down, doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. So when these calamities really hit, you'll have that protective hedge over you and won't be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, getting it how you live in that day.
That's right.
Being the victim of a lot of violence.
Mm-hmm.
Any points you want to make?
No, that is.
So with that, we hope this video was edifying to you sincere Akim. And again, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. Shalom.
Shalom.